Good one.
First thing some of you are going to say, I ain't going to ask her nothing.
Mm.
That, too, in itself is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We don't advise it at all.
Right. Don't walk into a situation where you are looking to just thinking you're just going to have all the answers. You're going to need to find out. And the best thing to do is ask somebody who already know her.
People usually think that, oh, well, if I talk to her, what am I trying to do? What is it that I need to know from her? Because your belief is that what you are looking for is how she feels about polygyny.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what you're looking for.
Right.
What you want to know is if the existing wife is going to show her whole behind to you before the marriage and is willing to tell you from the jump.
Right.
Because she may not.
Mm-hmm.
She actually may be very, very polite and very kind, and you see some escalation later. Or how about she could actually just be a sweetheart?
Right.
But you really want to see where is she at and to hear it from her.
Where is her boundaries in this situation?
Next, you want to see if both of you are women with empathy.
Mm.
Now, y'all take that to be consideration. Is she considering me? Is she thinking about me and how I feel? Because an existing wife takes this to mean, if I tell her that I don't like polygyny, is she going to go on?
Is she going to get on? Right.
To you, that's consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And the incoming wife is thinking, well, there are so many stereotypes about, how the incoming wife is a homewrecker and all these negative beliefs about her. Maybe she'll consider me and she won't treat me like. What you are looking for is to see if you are in a position to give empathy and if this is a person who also offers empathy. Because if the two of you show up as two empathetic souls, there is much more of a likelihood for people to be kinder. Empathy is much more than being kind, though. Empathy means that you filter your words. Empathy means that you fall back on some things. This is consideration in action. Empathy. First you take consideration, and then how do you know it's there? You see the empathy, and when you fake empathy, it looks like
manipulation.
So seek to give empathy and to see if it is offered to you. When should I talk to the incoming wife? Before you get married.
Definitely.
Before the two of you get married, and before a date is set for the marriage. Speak to her and don't get information from
It's important that the man facilitate that situation, that he actually be in a position of bringing that together and not being a barrier to that taking place.
Well, sometimes two things happen. One, he's a barrier and he prevents it, and we have seen the detriment of him being a blocker. Because usually he blocks it because he doesn't want something to be heard or something to be said. The other way of being a barrier is saying that's woman stuff and him taking a hands-off approach as if he has nothing to do with it. Right. How are you going to say you have nothing to do with two women who are going to be one who is your wife and one who's going to be your wife?
The only reason they're having this connection is because...
Don't get your information from him only. Because a man, he doesn't have the same radar for details as women do. A woman is going to be looking for woman details, and they're just different. Does she want to be my friend? Do you ask other women when you meet them, do you want to be my friend? Most of the time, this is not how friendships are formulated. Same thing goes for polygyny. Let this happen organically. Find out about the expectations as a family member first. What is it that y'all are expecting of me as a family member? Am I going to get to go to the family cookout as the incoming wife?
Am I going to be able to go to different religious organizations or religious functions as a co-wife?
Right. I know, because they're accustomed to seeing the wife that you already with now. What about me? Am I going to get to go too? Oh, no, I gotta stay home.
Oh, I got to go somewhere else instead of going with you guys.
Ask these questions. Don't just assume that it is just going to automatically happen.
Right.
These are the things that you are going to want to know, because actually these are the things that impact your marriage.
Exactly.
And that's really your key focus, not whether or not she and I are going to go and have lunch together. Y'all could be in polygyny for years and never go to lunch together. Mm-hmm. However, y'all can be in polygyny for years and there will be a family event or reason for a family to gather, and you want to know what your role is from the up front for both of you. And as the existing wife, you want to know if your role changes. How is this going to look for me? Because I'm accustomed to this being this way. What is this going to look like later? Another question you want to ask that you don't. Do you want my children around you, and will you be nice to my kids? I'm going to say what folks don't say. I don't want her around my children because she's already around my husband. And then what if my kids like her? I don't want my kids to like her. They may, what if they say they like her more than they like me, or they come home and they tell me little things that she does, that she does better than I do? No. Now she got my kids' attention too. That's the stuff you don't say. But those are real conversations to go ahead and talk about what we going to do with the kids. And maybe one of you don't have children yet. But they're already children within the family.
Right. And how does that transition take place? How do they get to move from one spot to the other?
And are they? Are they going to move from one spot to the other? And how do you handle family incidents? You know, I've heard so many times in polygyny of a wife saying she just uses the kids as a ploy. She uses the kids to get his attention. Ain't nothing wrong with them kids. She called my house because of the child and some homework. Well, you know what? We sit here as parents and we have seen what homework incidents can look like. Polygyny dynamic is new for the kids too. Sometimes a 7-year-old may amp over some homework.
Right.
And now you have this wife who is accustomed to having her children at home. I mean, not her children at home, but their father at home. But he's at your house. And daddy's gone. And mommy's just here. And mommy, she don't know how to do this. Daddy always helps me with this. But it's her night. He's upset. How does a child say that? They act out and turn up on your floor.
Right.
And parenting under the umbrella of polygyny, you don't know what it's going to look like. So have the most basic concerns disclose. What are you thinking about?
Different incidents where that has taken place.
You're going through different scenarios.
I'm going different scenarios of how that has taken place.
And people think that, oh, that's okay. That's easy. Y'all just don't know how ugly we have seen this part become.
And especially with the thing of trying to get children acclimated to it when they have been used, and they didn't sign up for polygyny at all.
The children are not in polygyny.
Exactly.
The adults are. Another question. Do you have any STDs? Excuse me. Are your private parts healthy? Now, you cannot. You could. But we do not advise you to ask this of someone else. This is for the husband to ensure, because he is the common sexual interest.
Exactly. He's the common denominator in this situation. So he is the one that needs to be making sure that everybody has clean bills of health as far as sexual health and any other health, where he's not carrying anything to anybody.
Okay. What else do you think he should be aware of?
Well, when we come to talk about STDs,
or just anything in general, give him a bonus tip.
Well, I think that he should also be aware of, and when it comes to health, what it is that the other person may be going through, as far as emotional, as far as mental, and not sharing that information directly with the other spouse.
Because that's one of the biggest mistakes that men do is share business, share details that he shouldn't share, because these are two people he's fairly comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I would say is selecting women that have some level of emotional independence.
Understanding interdependence. I think that's the word I would definitely love to use more, is that she has a sense of interdependence, that she's able to function with you there and without you there.
Because there are going to be times where she is going to have to deal with something in your absence,
Mm-hmm.
because you're just not going to be there. Basic criteria for many men for polygyny is finding someone who's willing.
Exactly. She willing, she will, okay, and then that's all they look at, when it's a lot more to it, because she may tell you she's willing, then when you get involved,
emotionally,
she's not.
She doesn't have that type of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, particularly within religious sectors, because folks think that only Muslims do polygyny, and that's
right.
not true.
That's not true at all.
Polygyny, other people do polygyny as well. And when we look at it from a spiritual perspective, the belief is that women within this spiritual group, you should accept it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
While she may be a Hebrew Israelite, she may be Mormon, mm-hmm. she may be Muslim, mm-hmm. or she may just be a woman who accepts this lifestyle and it has no spiritual connection whatsoever. It does not mean that because she is a part of this faith-based experience that God has designed her to have a personality that lives this experience.
Right, because she's actually been conditioned by something else already. And so she's lived the experience that has nothing to do with polygyny whatsoever.
I mean, there are some cases where people were raised under it,
right.
or they've seen it. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, here in the West, that's not what they have seen. Mm-hmm. That's not what has been described in the experience in regard to love and marriage. Mm-hmm. And so then you have that part that Hassan just mentioned. But then there's another part, her personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Her personality just may not be a personality that will fit well with. She's a Hebrew Israelite. She's a Mormon. She's a Muslim woman. How can she not be? Because she's a grown, independent individual with her own separate interests.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't mean she condemns it. It just means that she's not the one who's cut out for it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next one is, can we like each other and love the same man? Yes, you can. But there's a question behind that no one says. And that question is, can the two of you manage the jealousy you're going to feel about each other?
That's when, as a man, I back up out of that and let a woman really take care of that.
Why are you backing out?
Because I like to hear from a woman's perspective how that really works and them managing their jealousy. Because if I was to get there and say, look, you need to manage your jealousy, that might get me cut. You know what I mean?
Then the reason is that would get you cut is because men, when it's a situation that a man should actually try to soothe and try to reassure, and he doesn't know what to do, mm-hmm. he runs and he labels it jealousy. Mm-hmm. And that's why women are so taken aback by mm-hmm. hearing that, because they take that emotional highway. Mm-hmm. That there she goes showing her emotions, and somehow or another there's something wrong. How well are you at managing your difficult emotions now? And if that's an area that's weak for you, anticipate it
being a challenge.
Unless you work on it. Mm. This is one folks want to ask and they don't. Do you plan to fall in love with my husband? Probably. She probably does plan to fall in love with your husband. You fell in love with him. There were reasons why you did. Mm-hmm. But this is the issue. This is the stuff y'all don't say, because y'all know that clay couple will say it for you. Mm-hmm. You're okay when the love is need-based. When this is a woman who is widowed or who has children who are orphans, and she loves the man because he's helpful and because he has changed her status. That's honorable.
That's honorable.
Him that way, that's fine. Why wouldn't you love someone who has done something for you? But when you love him and it's heart-based, oh no, that's a problem.
Well, and I'm going to share something with you. I think men are more of a culprit for pushing that philosophy.
How so?
Because what they do is say, I'm marrying a woman because she has kids, or she needs help, or I'm trying to improve her conditions in life, which then makes it sound to the existing wife that he has no other motive other than just trying to help somebody out.
Right, and then she starts giving you suggestions on how you can help her out without marrying her.
Right, and he really wants another woman that he can be with, he can be intimate with, and he can have some type of relationship with, other than just being a ATM for her. But he, in his scared state, can't really say that to his existing wife because he's scared.
Okay, so he could say it. He's just afraid.
He's just afraid to
say it.
He's afraid of the repercussions that's going to come behind it.
And what are the repercussions for that?
Okay, we're going to go back to the one we talked about earlier. She may act a whole fool.
Not a half a fool.
Not a half a fool.
But a whole fool.
Exactly.
And these are the things that we know y'all want to ask, that folks think about.